Sectionalism, the Louisiana Purchase, and the Missouri Compromise. New land and new problems. In 1803, the United States was riding high. They had just purchased the Louisiana territory from France. They were now in control of the port city of New Orleans, and Americans were free to spread all the way across to the Rocky Mountains. Little did they know that within 17 years' time, this land, that was seemingly such a great deal and such a great thing for the country, would nearly lead to secession. Here is how. It all starts with something called sectionalism. You can see at the bottom there's a little map broken up into pieces, and really that's what sectionalism was all about in the United States. Sectionalism is having loyalty to a particular state or a particular region. When you look at the United States back during the 1800s, the issue then, as it was from the very start of the country and up to the Civil War, was slavery. And states were loyal to a region based upon their feeling on the issue of slavery. In the South, where the economy was largely reliant upon slaves, that's where you found the greatest zest and zeal for the slave trade and for slavery itself. So those states in the South tended to bond together because they had common interests. Those interests were in protecting and expanding slavery. Whereas in the North, the states that were known as the free states, while many of them did in fact have slaves and slavery, it was not a big part of their economy. They were more into small-scale agriculture and manufacturing, and as such, they were not dependent or reliant upon slaves for their economy. So for them, their interests were not slavery, and it was not protecting slavery, but instead preventing slavery from overwhelming the country. So slavery was the issue that was causing these sectional divides within the United States. Each side, back at this time during the early 1800s, was worried the other would grow too powerful in the United States government. If you remember from our government unit last 9 weeks, power in the United States Senate is equal, meaning each state had the exact same amount of representatives. This will become important in a little bit. Back during the 1800s, the United States had developed a delicate and uneasy balance. In 1819, there were 11 free states and 11 slave states. Because the number of free states was equal to the number of slave states, both sides felt safe. The slave states, who were always fearful of the northern free states, always fearful that they would try to eliminate slavery, recognized that with an equal number, or 11, the same as the free states, slavery could never be eliminated. The free states, on the other hand, were scared that the slave states, the southern states, would drive further expansion and further fuel slavery, something that they were opposed to. So while the number remained 11 and 11, everything, at the time at least, was tense but still safe. Until, and here's a look actually at the 11 free states on the left: Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York, Rhode Island, Vermont, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. In the slave states, Delaware, Maryland, South Carolina, Virginia, North Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, as you can see, 11 and 11, and this balance worked for a long time until the Louisiana Purchase, and really, more accurately, until the states that were purchased in 1803, the land that was purchased in 1803, until those areas wanted to apply for statehood. Inevitably, Americans were going to populate the land that Thomas Jefferson had purchased from Napoleon in 1803. And as more and more people started moving into those territories, they brought with them their ideas about slavery or against slavery. What would happen to the United States when one of these new territories wanted to join the Union? The 11 in 11 balance would be broken. Either the slave states would feel uncomfortable because they would be outnumbered, or the free states would feel uncomfortable because they would be outnumbered. The first state from the Louisiana Purchase to test this problem, test this situation, was the state of Missouri. In 1819, the territory of Missouri applied to join the United States of America. Missouri was a slave-holding state. People both North and South recognized that the addition of Missouri would upset the balance of power in the government. Northern states naturally were opposed to the entrance of Missouri as a slave state. They refused to admit Missouri because in so doing, that would give the slave states 12 votes in the Senate to only the 11 of the free states. This greatly concerned the northern states, and as such, Missouri's entrance to the Union was put on hold. The country was in gridlock. North was unwilling to change, South was unwilling to change, and hanging in the balance were the people of Missouri, who were Americans, wanted to join the United States of America, yet, because of the issue of slavery, they were unable to do so. What would be done? That was the question. Right now, you should go into Blended Schools and click on the Missouri Compromise interactive map. The solution to the problem was, as I already alluded to, called the Missouri Compromise. Using that map and your student worksheet, you will be able to find out what was the agreement that allowed Missouri to enter the Union. What did the North get? What did the South get? And ultimately, who won? In order to determine this, you may need to look back at this PowerPoint to find the states that were already in the Union, slave and free. Good luck.